Hey there friends, my name is Kelpie. The release of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer has gotten me thinking about the different aspects of Assassin's Creed that I love and would really like to see make a return in the upcoming release. So, this is my list of the top 5 Assassin's Creed gameplay mechanics / general features that I would love to see make a return in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. To start off this list, I would love to see outfits make a return, as opposed to receiving separate pieces of armor, as seen in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. One of the telltale signs of an Assassin's Creed protagonist is the assassin robes. Seeing how the robes differ from era to era was one of my favorite aspects of every new installment. In the recently released footage, we see Eivor with and without his shoulder fur. This could allude to a mechanic much like we see in Assassin's Creed Origins, where you could remove the hood whenever you want. It would also be awesome if you could upgrade certain parts of the armor / outfit with materials you gather from hunting and looting. Again, much like we see in Assassin's Creed Origins. Coming up next is the ability to counter attacks from enemies. Now, I don't really think this would work as the sole combat mechanic like it did in previous Assassin's Creed games, but rather as an unlockable skill, preferably through story missions where you become a more experienced member of the Brotherhood, or from activities where you train with an assassin combat master, much like Assassin's Creed Unity, where you could learn different combat skills, including but not limited to counter kills. And while we're on the topic of combat, I believe that executions should be way more common. It's really unsatisfying when you spend a fair amount of time against a tough opponent who just falls to the ground like a ragdoll when you kill him. Having more frequent executions could also be a prevalent gameplay mechanic, in which performing an execution could strike fear into the hearts of your opponents, effectively stunning them and giving you enough time to get a few hits in on them. And if you were fighting a group of particularly weak enemies, you could keep doing executions and keep stunning them. Basically, this game's equivalent of the chain kills from previous installments. I feel like this next item is the most likely item to be added to Assassin's Creed Valhalla: enemy types, instead of using levels to categorize the difficulty of enemies. This seems very likely because Ubisoft confirmed that the game's difficulty will rely on player skill, power, and gear rather than a numerical leveling system, which is honestly the best news I've heard from the game so far. Origins did a lot right, but the leveling system was all kinds of wrong. Enemy types reminiscent of Assassin's Creed 3, for example, would spice up the combat and add an extra layer of challenge. Certain enemies would be immune to certain abilities, forcing the player to strategize and take each combat scenario more seriously. This would be both more fun and more immersive. Now, this next comment may trigger a few people, but I feel as though the parkour of the Assassin's Creed series peaked in Assassin's Creed Unity. It was so complex and allowed for a really cool and fluent traversal system. Along with being really satisfying, it also took some time to get used to and get good at. Nowadays, you just hold one button and move forward. And don't get me wrong, it works, but it's just not as fun. This seems unlikely to be added to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but it would work. The screenshots released show huge structures, castles, temples, churches, etc. And I feel as though a complex parkour system would add a layer of complexity that would make the game just that much more fun. However, if the game is using the same engine as Origins and Odyssey, the parkour system will likely follow suit. And finally, I would love to see items that bring attention to the lore of the series come back, much like receiving Altair's armor in Assassin's Creed 2, or items that tie back to the Isu, like in Assassin's Creed Unity with the Sword of Eden, or in Assassin's Creed Origins with the Isu armor. Assassin's Creed has such an expansive and interesting lore with so many great characters, so if we got an outfit or weapon that related back to either a well-known character like Altair or Bayek, or something that would shed light on either the medieval English Brotherhood of Assassins or the Scandinavian Brotherhood, if there is such a thing. Like, for example, we could receive Bayek's Khopesh as a reward for maybe a side quest or a DLC quest. I think that would just be really awesome. Well, that about does it for my list of hopefully reoccurring features for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you come up with any that I didn't mention, sound off in the comments below. Or if you disagree with anything I said, let me know. I would love to hear your feedback. So if you liked the video, press the like button, and if you didn't, press the dislike button and tell me how I can improve. Anyhow, I'll catch you in the next video, where I share more of my dumb opinions. Bye!